Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today, I'm doing something different. This is not my normal opening, so I'm taking a couple days with the family over the holidays. So, first of all, happy holidays to you and yours, and I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving or just wonderful day if you're in a different country. But thanks so much for being here. So, I am re-releasing some of my Patreon episodes. So we'll be deep diving Sex in the City, one of my favorite things to do. So this is season 2, episode 13, Games People Play. Think Miranda, hot guy in the window. Samantha picks up a guy in a sports bar, and Carrie is in therapy and meets a cute guy there. Sit back, relax, enjoy. If you want to further support the show and see more stuff like this, check out my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Real Housewives Recaps. Let's get into this episode, and thanks for being here. Happy holidays. Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps Patreon. This is Sex and the City Season 2, Episode 13, Games People Play. We get an appearance by Jon Bon Jovi in this one. So I really want to know your thoughts. Be sure to leave me comments and let me know if this was an episode you liked. I'm mixed on this one. I actually don't love Carrie's storyline, but I found Miranda's storyline really funny. I wish they had given Charlotte a little more to do on this one. Now, speaking of, there's a funny bit of trivia, which is this episode, for some reason, when it's like showing on TV or something and, there's a description, there's some sort of mess up in the description. This one is often described as Charlotte joining a bridge club to meet a nice man. But there was never that storyline. That wasn't a thing. So it's some sort of mix-up. I don't know if somebody did that as a joke or if the writers had kicked around that storyline and never went anywhere, but somehow it got included. I don't know, but just look for that little Easter egg. If you ever see this episode streaming on TV or something, if you read the description, it'll probably say that. All right, let's get into this one. Okay, Games People Play. So, Carrie is, of course, still reeling from, the breakup of her relationship with Big. So, we see her being very Carrie about everything. She can't stop talking about it. She can't stop talking about herself. She can't stop talking about her relationship. They show a montage of different events she's at where she just can't stop talking about it. I feel like we've all been there, right? Like when you go through a breakup or you're dealing with a, annoying relationship and you can't stop talking your friend's ears off about it. I feel like that is very relatable, but it's just that it's, Carrie that makes it a little harder to swallow. Okay, so she's saying she feels sorry for Big and that she's the poof in the relationship. She has more poof in one finger and blah, blah, blah. Finally, the girls call her out and says, who's gonna tell her? And she's like, tell me what? Sam says, you're obsessed with talking about Big. So the girls relieve that they reveal that they're out of their league with this one, right? Miranda says that she should talk to a shrink. And you guys, I just found Carrie so obnoxious about this. She literally says to Miranda, well, I know why you see a shrink. You're like always in your head. And Miranda pulls an amazing face. I can't believe I'm complimenting Miranda so much because she's my least favorite character. You know that. But it is funny. She pulls a face because that's a really rude thing for Carrie to say. They're trying to help her. They can't help her anymore. They're telling her, go get help. You're obsessed with this. But Sam, again, has a great line where she says, listen, honey, we're the blind leading the blind. What do we know, right? So Charlotte thinks that problems can be solved with physical exercise. I remember I believe they said this line in another episode too. May have been when she was playing tennis a lot with Trey, but she thinks that all problems can be solved with physical activity, exercise, that sort of thing. We see Stanford in this episode, Stanford and Carrie. So he doesn't understand how she can't have a shrink. We find out he's got 3. One for when he needs to be coddled, one when he needs tough love, and one when he just wants to look at a hot man. Speaking of hot man, here's one right there. So Miranda's hanging out at home. She sees a very hot guy in the window. And hot guy is played by George Hahn. Now what's funny is In this episode, he's credited as Great Looking Guy. That's the character's name, Great Looking Guy. So, interesting fact about George, he is the assistant director in the movie Kate and Leopold. It's the Meg Ryan Hugh Jackman movie. Okay, so a few nights later, Hot Guy is back. He waves, Miranda waves back, and they start having weekly play dates. Man, he's so good looking, right? Okay, so about a week later, we see Carrie is at Dr. G's office, Dr. Greenfield. Now, Dr. Greenfield was recommended by Miranda. She's supposed to be hot, hot, hot. All the celebs go to her. So why wouldn't Carrie be able to get an appointment in a week, right? It makes sense to me. Dr. G is played by Anne Lang. She is in The Good Wife. So she says she's there because she talks about her ex too much. And she says, that's normal, right? The doctor says, I don't like the term normal. And Carrie says, I have to be honest. I'm not sure I believe in therapy. I'm more of a solve your own problems kind of gal. So again, regardless of your thoughts on therapy, I just find Carrie so rude this episode. Very full of herself, which is why she's in therapy, but to tell the therapist that is kind of rude, no? It's kind of shitting on her profession, and she's there anyway, she might as well make the most of it. Even if you secretly feel like that, you wouldn't say that, right? Like, you wouldn't tell somebody their job is bullshit to their face. You might think it in your head, I don't know. So with the girls, she's saying she picks the wrong guy, and talks about being a game player. And Charlotte, who I think looks so beautiful here. I love this dress on her. I love her hair pulled back like this. She says, you have to play games. It's the only way to deal with men, which they all call her out and say, that's not very healthy. And Miranda, they're teasing her about playing games with her hot neighbor. Sam says the only place to play games with men is in bed. So they wonder where all the great men went. They're walking, and they walk into a sports bar. It's like Mecca, right? Oh, it's sports night. So there's a room full of captive men who are looking to be distracted during the commercials. So they sit down, and they're instantly handed beers, and they're like, we didn't order these. And they say, oh no, ladies drink for free. So they are so happy to be surrounded by the hot guys and have the free drinks. Sounds pretty good to me. Samantha sees a hot guy. This part bothers me so much because there's a mess up here. When she stands up out of her booth, her jacket falls to the floor. It's a beautiful white jacket. It bothers me. We meet Don. Don is John Dossett. He is in Gossip Girl. He played Jack Roth in Gossip Girl, if he looks familiar. He's yelling at the TV. He's pounding on the bar. He's obviously very into sports, and Samantha is very into that. So we see this scene here where she's staring at him. He's pounding the bar, and it goes from them to them high-fiving and going at it. So it looks like a fun time. So from there, we go to Carrie. She's writing her article about games that people play. There's actually a goof in this scene where you can see the film crew in the reflection of the TV. It's not so much here. It's when she's moving around looking at her board games. And she says, do you have to play games to make relationships work? So we get that scene where people are talking to the camera. We go on to Dr. G's office. Carrie sees a cute guy. It's John Bon Jovi. Living on a Prayer, right? So that song's been in my head since I watched this episode earlier. So she ends up showing up early and a little more dressed up so she can purposely run into him again. He takes notice when he walks out. I gotta say, I love this dress. I think it's so cute. He takes notice. Hi, I'm Seth. We could keep playing this coy game, or I could introduce myself. So he just had his 1 year with Dr. G, and he asked Carrie if she'd like to have dinner. Call me sometime, and gives her his business card. Man, that made me feel like things were dated, right? Okay, so then from here, we go to Carrie and Sam. Carrie's telling Sam all about the new guy, Seth. He's a photographer. Sam is so busy focusing on the TV and cheering on sports. And all of a sudden, she's using basketball terms, and Carrie's like, what the heck is going on? She explains that Dawn is completely obsessed with basketball, and that she doesn't get laid unless the Knicks win. And it's been a dry season for both of them. But she explains that the sex was so good before, from what she remembers, she really, really wants to keep seeing him. So she says the Knicks are the only ones getting screwed right now. But they end up winning, so Sam takes off and says she's got to go. Then we go over to Miranda. Miranda's back flirting with Hawkeye in her window. He's playing a little flash game with her, so he shows his rear, and so she pulls out a boob, shows him. So it's just a funny scene. I don't know. I just like that storyline so much, especially with the twist that we'll get to. It just cracks me up. Then Carrie and Seth are on their first date, and they're making small talk about the plant in Dr. G's office. Carrie thinks it needs to be watered, and he says it's plastic, that he touched it because he got bored. So she decides she's had enough of the game. She's just going to be honest and ends up telling him, I like you, which is it's not something she would typically do, which is her point. She wants to be different with this one. So he says, I like you too, and the date seems to be going well. We go over to Miranda, and she's at the store shopping. Again, I'm not a Miranda fan. I like this storyline, and I like her dress here. I think that blue is nice on her. So there, I can compliment her sometimes. So she's shopping, and who does she run into? Hot guy. Oh, no. So I've been there, not with hot guy across the street, but like where you run into somebody and you're like, oh, crap, I look awful. So she grabs something to try to hide behind it. But then she decides, I'm just going to go up and not play games. So she walks up, and she's like, hi. I thought I'd be an adult, come over and introduce myself. I'm Miranda. He looks completely confused. She says, across the ear shaft, and has to remind him. And he goes, oh, right. You're the girl that lives above the guy I've been cruising. I love that. Every time that twist just gets me that it's not her he's been flirting with. It's all in her mind that she's played this game with herself, and he's busy cruising the guy below her. So, oh man. Oh, I feel secondhand embarrassment for her. She walks off without saying anything, and I gotta say, I don't blame her. So then we go to Sam. She is over at Dawn's house. They are watching the final Knicks game of the season, and they're so excited because the Knicks win, and she thinks, yeah, I finally get mine. Well, no. He says, now that basketball's over, I can focus on the Mets. I can give them my full attention. She ended up leaving because she just couldn't take it. She couldn't take another losing season. Let's go back to Carrie. What is she wearing on this date? I'm just thinking, even if I'm built like that, I mean, whatever. I would not wear this on a date. I would wear this like, I don't know, on a beach or on a cruise ship or something, but not on a date. But anyway, it's just not a night outfit, I guess I'll say. So they play Twister. They end up in bed together, and she ends up saying, I think therapy is bullshit, and why are you in therapy? And he says, I'm really fucked up about women. After I sleep with them, I lose interests. And he goes, what about you? And she says, I picked the wrong men. And that's how the episode ends. There's a voiceover that she stops seeing Dr. G immediately, and that her friends understand. But, I actually really like that ending. I like that Carrie, who's been so full of herself this entire episode, kind of got smacked by reality there. Like, I picked the wrong men, and here's proof because... yeah, and then for him to just immediately lose interest as soon as they're done sleeping together, like even his body language, he turns away from her. I don't know. I don't love her storyline, but I like that conclusion. I thought it was great. So that's it for the episode. I hope you've enjoyed the recap. Do let me know in the comments. Thank you guys so much for being here and all the support on Patreon. I sincerely appreciate it. I hope you guys have the best day, and I will talk to you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.